Hello, good morning. Where am I? I'm in the Amazon, of course, and I'm in this cute little town. I'm waiting for my bus to go. It's early in the morning, and I got a few minutes to go before I leave, to wait, I should say. And I'm in this little town. It's pretty much an indigenous town, Tiwinska. And it's not that far. It's in the boonies, okay? So you can see here, let's see. You can't see much. Yeah, you see like some mountains back there, but deep in the jungle, not that far from the Peruvian border. And apparently I'm the only gringo that ever comes here. Um, I visited, well, you have here a lot of indigenous folks, Indians of Ecuador, and it's called the Shuar tribe. And I know actually a lot of other, indigenous groups here, but the Shuar are very, very interesting, and they're great people. And I actually had an opportunity to visit some river people, some people that you could only access by the river, like an hour by canoe. And these people had never seen a gringo before in their life, or the children had never seen a gringo. The adults, of course, they'd gotten around, but not very much. I was the very first gringo to ever visit this tribe, this particular community. And I did some reading on the Shuar. And the Shuar might just be, okay, we're talking about stress here. Talking about stress. The Shuar just might be one of the few last Indian groups that fought off the man. Okay, so during colonial times, about 500 years ago, the Shuar were just about the only folks that totally beat off colonial rule. I mean, they couldn't beat them. It's kind of like how Afghanistan, how Russia, or I should say the old Soviet Union, and of course us, Estados Unidos. I'm sorry, United States. I'm talking Spanish. We try to conquer Afghanistan, and good luck, conquering Afghanistan. Well, the Shuar are the same. And you've heard of like the head shrinkers, like they cut off your head and they shrink your. Well, that's the Shuar. So anyway, I'm like thinking, well, are they gonna, cut off my head and shrink my head? And no, they were incredible. And I find that this group, and I was talking to them about this because stress-related illness and early death is becoming epidemic in our society. And I was talking to them about this. And the Shuar, you're talking like villages that are way the hell in the middle of nowhere. And you're talking people, that have limited access, there's no radio. There's no signal. There's no, of course, TV or satellite, no internet. It's old school. Luckily, because they are very deep in the jungle, the government, the great government, this is really, I love this government, brought running water and electricity a number of years ago. So, it's incredible when you see it. You see the thick of the jungle, you're thinking, how the hell did those engineers, engineer that? But despite all these deprivations, okay, these people live to be very, very old. And I was very interested as to why. And of course, this fits in nicely with my hypothesis in general. Basically, they've got, okay, what's the definition of stress? If you remember, the definition of stress is the rate of adjustment it takes in order to adapt to whatever environment you happen to be in. Okay, so it's our adaptive mechanisms. Okay, it's our adaptive mechanisms. And it is. That's what stress is. And so when you enter the adaptive mechanism state, it's a cascade of reactions, then your body changes form and becomes a bit more plastic in order to reconfigure itself to structurally to meet the demands of the what the environment is demanding. Well, these people don't have high rates of adjustment. I mean, and you can't really say their life's not really that hard. I mean, with electricity and running water, and again, very tightly knit group. And of course, these people are absolute geniuses with mechanical engineering and chemical engineering of the jungle. So, I mean, they've got all their medicines, although they've got access to healthcare. I mean, it's about an hour away, but they've got access to healthcare. So they got the basics going on. They got, the stuff that, really makes a difference, but not much else. I mean, not much beyond running water and electricity because it's very, like, incredibly deep in the sticks. But yet, they live to be very old and they have lots of children. Okay? So the Shuar control stress. And they control stress better than, like, say, there's another Indian group, giant Indian group, for which I'm very familiar, called the Quichua. But the Quichua, as I understood it, were conquered, And the Quichua, as I see it, just like a lot of indigenous groups, like in the United States, have got problems socially, like, say, with alcoholism, and the young adults not having babies, and the typical problems that we have in our world. But the Shuar is very interesting. It's the first indigenous group I saw that they're pretty much, it appears to be almost teetotalers. Like, wow, I mean, seriously, this is endemic in indigenous groups. Like, why? Well, it's because they kept their mojo. They're fierce warriors, and they don't let anyone tell them what to do, and they kept their independence, and so they weren't exposed to the trauma and stress of having their identity destroyed. Okay. And apparently the Shuar, before the colonial attacks, were extremely peaceful, and they got along with everybody, and they didn't fight. Well, after that, they became fierce warriors. And another cool thing, too, is because apparently back in the past, there was some genetic problem where there was way more men than women. And so they developed throughout the millennia extreme respect for women. Oh, I like that. Oh, that makes the guys really sexy, right? Respect for women. So they're fierce warriors. They don't put up with any shit. They fought it off. I mean, it's incredible. The pride. They're fierce warriors. The military fight to get recruits of the Shuar because they are better than anybody as far as being fierce, and being really, really effective soldiers. And they've got a deep respect for women. I mean, I was like, what? Yeah, I mean, they respect women. Or don't get me wrong. It's very, very respectful. I love Ecuador for the treatment of women in general. But, I mean, like, women are like queens in the society. And yes, the men are total gentlemen. Very, 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 very respectful. Very, very shy, but very respectful. So I think that this is the reason why the Shuar, hola, ¿cómo estás? Why the Shuar live so long, and they're successful as a variation, a human variant, is because they've been able to control the rate of adjustment and not be traumatized like a lot of other indigenous groups have. So it's very, very interesting. And let me tell you, I actually met a chief. I mean, this is like an old school, like, you have the chief, you have the elders, you have the medicine people, and man, these people are deep, and don't get me wrong, these people are very, 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 very smart. I mean, like, scary smart, I mean, they may not have PhDs or masters, but I mean, you're talking some sharp engineers out there. Let me tell you, engineers of the jungle, let me tell you, smart people, and very, very smart men, very, very smart, respectful men. So they didn't chop off my head. And it was just total welcome, and I'm gonna go. I am gonna go to another part of this province. Is Santiago Morona, or Morona Santiago is a province. And I'm gonna meet me some more Shuar. It's about a 1 billion-hour bus ride. I don't know, like 9 or 10 hours when you add it up. It's long, but it's deep. Oh, you're talking deep, 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 deep on the eastern part of Ecuador. And I'm gonna go, and I will, interview if I can. I will interview and see how the Shuar handle life and handle stress up there. So I thought you might be interested. An actual indigenous group that is not dying out, is successful. It's overcome the man. Anyway, have a great day. I gotta go.